Everybody has been speaking so wonderfully, and they've said everything that's worth saying. So, just as kind of consolation, I just met John Mulaney. You all know John Mulaney, right? So, I only just met him, but it turns out he's not just one of the funniest people on earth. He's also just a wonderful person. And I mentioned that the talk I'm about to give was maybe a little short on jokes. And he made some up, especially for your commencement. It was hugely generous of him, and it's great for me because if you like him, that's great, and if you don't like him, it's his fault. He suggested that at the top of the speech I could say, you know, there's an old story about when Mark Twain was asked to address the graduating class of 1909, but it's not a very good story, so I'm going to skip it. I thought that was pretty good. But he also said, you could say, I look around at the bright, hopeful, brilliant faces in this esteemed institution with its rich history and beautiful architecture and its enormous spirit of wonder, and I think to myself, I can't believe this is New Jersey. He said you were free to groan, and I think you should groan. Well, I'm going to be talking later about keeping some space in your heads for yourselves. And he said, I might say, you need quiet time to ponder the great questions of like if you could have dinner with 3 people from history, living or dead, how would you get out of picking up the check? Anyway, Princeton, President Eisgruber, Dean Crotty, Dean Dees, parents of the class of 2024, distinguished guests, Princeton class of 2024, congratulations. It's a wonderful world. Love is all around you. Your parents are really happy. You're their pride and joy. Look at what your friends have done. You've been no slouch yourself. 4 years given to the great things college offers. Best of all, talking to each other. You carpe the diem. Good going. It's a wonderful day. I am so glad and greatly honored to be part of it. I'm a grandparent of 6. My wife, Lynn, is here. I don't know where. With her best friend, Di. I'm really only here because of them and Di's beloved, Julie. And they're with me on this. There is nothing like seeing your children and grandchildren thrive, prosper, clear the high jump, beat the odds, and bust out all over. Thank you for inviting me to share in the joy. The word of one syllable for what you're swimming in today is play. Love and joy combined, and play is what it's all about. In Waiting for Godot, Lucky starts the last speech he will ever give, trying to pack into it everything he knows and coming up with nothing but desperate nonsense. Given the existence is uttered forth in the public works of Puncher and Watman of a personal God, quah, 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 with a white beard, quah, 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 outside time without extension, who from the tight heights of divine apathy, divine athambia, divine aphasia, loves us dearly, with some exceptions, for reasons unknown, but time will tell. And it goes on like that. As I fretted over what to say today, I felt like him. And then it dawned on me what my real problem was. I don't know what to tell you. But it strikes me that that's maybe a good thing for all of us. It's your turn. Adulthood definitely has its downsides, and you don't want to let go of your inner child, the you who knows all about play, but nothing holds a candle to adulthood's upside, becoming your own boss. Graduation is the landmark. It's official now. And it's kind of crazy that the first thing the world wants to do is to tell you in a graduation speech how to think and what to do. I'm not going to try. The places you and I are in are too different. For you, this is the prime time for action, for seizing the day, time to be out in the world and getting things done. For me, more and more, the things that give me joy have to do with stopping. My favorite essayist, Michel de Montaigne. They still tell you about Michel de Montaigne? Yay! He quit 400 years ago. He quit the French court, where he was an advisor to the king. He quit Bordeaux, where he was the mayor, after seeing the city through the pandemic of his time, the plague, after inventing the public bulletin board, which we now know as the internet and social media. Leaving for Paris Thursday, want a ride, wine sale, best claret since 1540. He quit it all and went home to his medieval estate, holed up in his study at the top of a turret there, invented the essay, which in French means the try, the attempt, as opposed to the last word or the final result. Wrote the very first ones, including ones about quitting, and spent the rest of his life getting to know himself by writing about himself. He stopped. Everything else is forgotten, how good the wine was, who went to Paris. But people still read those essays to find out what it is to be a stand-up guy, an honest, fun, one-of-a-kind straight shooter, and a friend, all because he stopped. I quit myself a few months ago. Law and order was part of my life for 2 or 3 decades. That never happens. TV shows come and go. Law and order didn't. It did for me the long haul things everyone needs from a job. It kept a roof over our heads. It put our kids through college. It kept me out of trouble. It made it easier to get other work. And it wasn't work, it was play, and play is what life is all about. Did I say that already? But, and it's a big but, when I did finally quit, I was amazed by the amount of space the job had been taking up in my head. When I stepped off the set for the last time, I literally, physically, felt the door opening and found a gigantic new room in my head that Law and Order had just left empty. It was astonishing, and it's still thrilling. A big piece of myself that I didn't even know I'd rented out is mine again. Not that you stop doing things when you stop what you've been doing, but you buy space to think and shut up and to be still. Spring has been long and slow this year. I love it. I've been meditating twice a day for years. I'm feeling its effects. I love it. You have to stop to see the spring. You can't meditate very well on the run either. Maybe you look at the news to see what's getting done. Now I mostly look to see if anything is ever going to stop. We don't get to decide what question will present itself for resolution in our lifetime or how. The Almighty has his own purposes, is how Abraham Lincoln explained it. We use different terms, but our experience remains the same. Issues come to a head by a will of their own, and we can't escape answering them. Don't waste a second thinking it can't be true for you, or that your response won't matter because you're all still so young. It's your turn. That's why it's called commencement. And there isn't anything cooler. You don't get to choose the questions. Fate, chance, God, or history do that. But the response belongs to you. If you're like every generation before you, you'll keep the ball rolling. But because the future hasn't been written, the possibility is there that you will be the ones who finally get the answer right. That's what the rest of us are rooting for, partly because of our own spotty time at bat. That's why we're all so glad you're here. Phew, thank God you made it, just in time. Water, water. Your graduation falls this year on Memorial Day. One of the proudest moments in my lucky career came when I got to play the great New York Times journalist Sidney Shandberg in The Killing Fields, a war movie that wasn't about the fight or who's right or who wins, but about who dies, the civilians and the soldiers, and whose message was, save lives, stop the war. Every time your cohort succeeds in resolving a conflict before the shooting starts, you'll get a gold star. But my father, in the great war of his generation, World War II, volunteered when he never would have been drafted, joined a war which was fought through to final victory and the enemy's unconditional surrender, stopped the Holocaust, ended a dictatorship, halted a war of conquest, and made them illegal. We call it the Good War for a reason. In my generation, the Great War was Vietnam. Many thought the best thing about it was when it stopped. A kid I grew up with was killed. His name was Derek Chesbrough, along with tens of thousands of others, potential Einsteins, potential Da Vincis, might have been Mozarts, it might have been me. Someone has calculated that there are 7 active wars going on in the world right now. I think that grossly underestimates the number of issues being resolved by force as we speak. What do? When do we act? What do we leave alone? Stop or go? Up to you. As your kind introduction said, I'm currently the board chair of Oceana. The ocean, for all that it's foreign territory to us because we don't breathe water, is as essential to our existence as the air we do breathe. We've been beating up on it as hard as we can for centuries. Especially since World War II, we've developed the means to actually kill it. Just as we developed then with nuclear weapons, the ability to do ourselves in up here. We already pollute it, make dead zones, underwater deserts. We know how to catch the last fish. With climate change, underwater heat waves remove so much oxygen from the water the sea creatures smother. Exactly analogous to us being smothered by the air we breathe, and just as awful to contemplate. If we keep doing these things, we will destroy it, and it will kill us. And what is the cure? Stop. Stop overfishing. Stop carbon pollution. The ocean will bounce back. Stop. A handful of heads of a handful of corporations and our passive dependence on fossil fuels has the future of the planet by the throat. When will they stop? When will we stop? But, and this talk is full of buts, the only way to stop a catastrophe is to get stuff done. That's what Oceana is, the international organization that gets stuff done for the oceans. Dr. Daniel Pauly is a board member of Oceana. A biography has been written about him, and I recommend it to all of you. He's also the global expert on fish populations and a great whirlwind of positive energy in the face of a discouraging set of facts. I once called him an optimist, and he gave me what for? He said he is not an optimist, doesn't think that way at all. He said he discovered a simple thing when he was very young, faced with difficulty, and there was plenty of it for a mixed-race child, growing up very much on his own amid harsh indifference and racism. If he did nothing, he felt worse. If he did something, he felt better. So, he's been doing something ever since. He recommends it to everyone. So, your turn. What'll it be? In 1600, the words "to be" to an Elizabethan ear meant something like what "to act" or "go for it" means to us. Hear that famous soliloquy of Hamlet's with that in mind. To be or not to be? That is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing in them. It's the most interesting question in the world. It is the question. The answer, also from Hamlet, is the pithiest and shortest poem in English. Let be. Let, allow, stay still, take it, be, act, do something, fight back. Which one? When? Your turn. On the one hand, what a fate to wish on anyone. On the other hand, what a trip. All up to you, but okay, just this once, here's what I think. All these opposites, stop and go, let and be, are just dead things. Life is in the air between them. That's where all the joy and love are, where play is, and play's the thing that makes life interesting. Did I say that already? If that sounds mysterious, you'll find it out for yourself without even looking, if you can just keep plenty of space in your own heads for yourselves. So I'm back where I started. I played Lincoln. One of the things his law partner, Billy Herndon, said about him was he didn't read many books, but he thought about them a lot. The play about him I did by Robert Sherwood lets you feel the room. The great plains and the huge sky above them opened up in his head. That space was open in the heads of lots of people back then, when the population was thin and the land was vast. I've played a few of those historical figures, thank you, Julie, from 19th century America and before: Jefferson, Thoreau, Paine, David Dixon, characters with lots of fresh air. Lots of fresh air between their ears. I believe the sheer size of the country had something to do with their coming up with and acting on the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, while Europe's crowded head was understandably still full of the divine right of kings. Because copying the behavior and thoughts of people around us is as basic an instinct as there is, and keeping your own head for yourself is an act of will. It takes willpower. Flex that muscle. Guard it with your life. It's never been easy. Things get scary. One thing Montaigne noticed in getting acquainted with himself was that his mind changed all the time. Hard as that was in the 1500s, in a world like ours, mostly operating without the help of faith, it can feel god-awful lonely. If your mind won't stand still, where's the foundation? It made Hamlet crazy. Hey, it scares me. But what scares me even more is the fantastic amount of headspace we've given over in this day and age, first to copycatting each other, and then to our jobs, and astoundingly now to so-called intelligent machines. We traded the privacy of home, where your thoughts were your own, for connection. Gave our castle away. First the telephone, then the radio, then the TV, then the internet, then the cell phone, and this week to AI. And by God, connection we got. The world isn't half as solitary as it was. You can reach anyone, anywhere, anytime, from the top of Mount Everest, and the world can reach you. The trade-off is, it's selling you stuff all day long, and with algorithms, it can take you down one rabbit hole after another, farther and farther away from your own thoughts, even selling you the idea that you're better off not having ideas of your own, that identifying with a group is more valuable than anything you'd ever think of. Communication and propaganda become the same. The air fills with chatter, like I'm filling the air with chatter now. Noise takes the place of silence. Truth has a hard time breathing. And all the data shows it can be just as lonely. Give me Abraham Lincoln any day, lonely and alone under the great sky in the middle of the vast plains of Illinois, thinking his own thoughts on his worst night, like he is in Sherwood's play. Or Montaigne in his tower, alone with his books, his thoughts in his pen, changing his mind every 2 minutes. But I have no idea what is the right amount of space in your head for you to keep for yourself and how much to lend to the world. I don't know what to tell you. Nobody does. That's for you to say. And you have what it takes. Minds of your own. Go out and play. We can't wait to see what you come up with. Congratulations. If you have any complaints about this talk, please take them up with Julie. Congratulations. Thank you. Your turn.